Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitpatch.com, out here with my competition loadout from Finnish Brutality 2024. I had the good fortune of going and competing in Finnish Brutality again, second year in a row. If you're unfamiliar with what it is, if someone told you the tactical games, it's probably what you would think of if you didn't know that the tactical games was CrossFit with some shooting. Basically an amazing two-gun competition with a bunch of physical challenges and yeah, really fun shooting stages. But I'll go over the gear I used, kind of bottom up, brought these over. I think I brought them the first year too. These are my Lems. They are the Outlander, make sure I got that right. And they're actually waterproof. I brought them because you never know what you're gonna get over there. Could very well rain, and it did. I don't think it rained during the competition. There was definitely water in the competition though. And they did good. They're a like minimalist, zero drop. Definitely not like a super sturdy boot, but they did everything I asked of them, to include a lot of stuff in a bunch of mud. I think they're probably about done now, but these things served me well over there. I was then wearing some sort of like merino socks and then the other clothes. So Brutality puts this on, and this is actually their combat uniform I ended up wearing. Actually really like it. You have cargo pockets on the side with Velcro as well as buttons, generous pockets. And then something really nice is you can basically kind of custom size it with these Velcro tabs, which there's a tiny bit of like stretch depending on how much you move those in the back. Also the back comes up high, helping just keep everything tucked in. Pockets on the front. And then one of my favorite things actually is you have knee pad inserts in these. And so here they are. These are actually the same. You can use them as elbow pads, usually cut them down a tiny bit. Really light material and actually does an amazing job. Like, impressed with it. And then of course right here is their combat shirt. Zips up. Yeah, did good. You have pockets on the sleeves with Velcro fields. Also, again, if you want to actually put elbow pads in there. As far as patches, had these sweet ones thrown on here, pulled them off so I could finally wash this thing. This one from Prometheus Design Works and that one from Black Triangle Group. But yeah, overall really pleased. One thing I will say I ran into is sometimes you'd want to zip this down, and zippers behind plate carriers don't usually play well, so most of the time I made sure it was actually zipped up fairly high. But yeah, this uniform did a really good job for me there. Next, getting to do some personal protective equipment. I wear prescription lenses, continue to wear these because one, they fit, and amazing lenses. These are the Smith Director Elite. In them, I actually have some lenses by Zeiss, ballistic lenses. Those things did great for me. And then gloves. I actually really like these. Probably one of my favorite pig gloves. These are the Presscheck Combat or Presscheck Assault gloves, I want to say, by SKD Tactical. There was only one place I think I actually put gloves on, and it was for a breacher stage, but they did great for me there. In Finnish Brutality, there's a couple different divisions, one of which is open, which, like most shooting competitions, kind of like the gamer division, like bring the most efficient thing in just that. Then they also have, I think it's called TST, basically a combat loadout division. So you need to actually have a plate carrier with ballistic plates, full combat loadout, like start every stage rather, 3 full rifle mags, 2 full pistol mags, water, med kit, probably forgetting something, knife, fixed blade knife, at least 4 inch, like all these different things. And there's a weight requirement also. But for myself, I ended up wearing this right here, which is actually their plate carrier by Brutality. Actually really comfortable. On the inside, you have this mesh, really low pro shoulder straps, which also have, oh, I guess that's Velcro on the inside, like female Velcro, which actually rides really well. It's comfortable. On the front, there's this placard that they make. Peel it back so that you can put the cummerbund under it. Attaches here as well as with Velcro. Something I do actually really like about this placard too is it'll fit everything. So you can put AR mags in. For my own part, I was shooting an AK. And this does great with AK mags as well. And then in addition to that, if you want to, you actually have these tabs. You can put them over the top of the magazines, or there's flaps removable that you can cover the mags with like that. And then the cummerbund is it's elastic. So it actually stretches with you when you're exerting yourself and breathing really hard. Always nice. And then around here, I actually have this back panel, this breacher panel. It's really cool. Down here, you can unclip this. It goes lower, so you can actually put breaching tools in it and a couple different pouches, places to attach all kinds of things to it. And for my own part, what I actually had in there was, I think, just a 1 liter canteen, because you needed to have 1 liter of water. So I actually had the titanium canteen mess kit from Keith Titanium. That was in there full of water. Never touched it because didn't want to mess with making weight, even though pretty sure I was overweight. Then, because why not, my helmet. I don't know, twofold. One, I knew I needed to make weight. This definitely put me overweight, but it was one of those where, well, one, I'm in the business of reviewing gear, and I've used this helmet a lot, and I'm like, I should probably finish out that review. Why not one more opportunity to put in a bunch of time with it? And kind of funny story with respect to helmets. A lot of people have body armor, like plate carriers and stuff like that. And I actually bought my own helmet and carried and traveled with it, and then carried it overseas when I was contracting. I think they might have had some like Mitch helmets or something like that. They never actually got issued out unless something was happening. But you know what? As soon as something did happen, like on those sites overseas, everyone was like, man, kind of wish I had a helmet right now, because it's pretty important. So I ended up using this right here. This actually has their stock suspension system in it. Do have the OpsCore amps with the arms that go on, and this, I want to say, is the Sentry XP, so it actually comes down lower than like a super high cut helmet, but these actually come and nest inside of it, which is cool. Also on here, the Sidewinder, pretty sure Sidewinder by Streamlight. I actually used that in one of the stages. Did I need it? I don't know. There was some illumination, but it did help probably a little bit on one of the kind of blind medical stages. And going with, well, also this cover right here is by Brutality. It's their helmet cover. Thing's pretty cool. And then pairing with this Ear Pro by OpsCore, the amps, is their NFMI, near field magnetic induction. These guys right here. One of the stages over there ended up getting kind of rowdy. There was basically a role player, and in between some shooting on this dueling tree, you'd have to come back and you would make contact with them and say go. And you needed to either try and get them across a line for a bonus, or if you got pushed back, it was a penalty. And things got rowdy. And in the mix, one of my Ear Pro basically ended up getting ripped off or one of the sides of the amps. It's basically just hanging by a cord or cable. Ran up, was not going to try and fix that on the clock. Fortunately, had these, the near field magnetic induction. Man, so many words. But these were still there, my in-ear hearing protection, so non-issue as far as shooting the rest of the stage. So that ended up actually being pretty clutch. What about other gear? Well, here is the belt that I brought that I did not use. And so when I go over there, I end up basically borrowing guns. Can you ship your own guns? You can. Actually, one of the guys in our squad, Les, awesome guy, he has a logistics business that will do exactly that for you. Basically take care of everything, ship the guns. You show up overseas at your match, you pick up your guns, shoot your match, give them back to them, and they go back stateside. Does everything for you. I did not do that because, one, just don't really care. Like, I maybe would have shot better with my own guns, but I didn't care, like showing up for the experience. And so with that though, I ended up bringing my own belt set up because I was like, I'll need a belt set up. Problem being, the gun I borrowed from Jari, which super grateful for borrowing the guns, he actually had a Glock, I guess it was a Glock 19 with a comp. but it was like old school Roland Special comp, not like a Radiant Afterburner, which turns it into a 17 size. So I was thinking, oh, 17 holster should be fine. No, I think you need like Glock 34, whatever the long frame one is. So I had this whole belt set up from Brutality, inner outer belt, all my pouches, everything like that. Didn't use it because the holster didn't work, and his holster was not like, it was not easy to move because I didn't have it set up for that on this belt. No problem whatsoever. He's like, hey, just use my whole belt setup. So I ended up using it, did great. On it, he had some pistol mag pouches, which pretty much I think the same as on the belt that I have. Same with a rifle mag pouch, worked for the AK, dump pouch. On the very back, I think I had a med kit, and also had another one of the fixed blade knives from Brutality, like their field sheath, kind of gritty. But yeah, actually really sweet knives. And I used his setup. Actually worked really well. As to my guns I used, as I mentioned, I did not ship mine over there. I ended up using loaner guns from Jari. For my pistol, he had a Glock 19 with a comp. Also on there was ACRO P1, P2, I don't recall, and I think an X300. Gun did good. There was one stage, I think beginning of day 2, not sure why, a couple malfunctions in there. Not that that would have saved me. That stage completely ate my lunch. I got a bunch of penalties, not due to the gun. And at the very end, the very last stage, also ran into some stuff with that pistol. Again, that one, the first one, who knows? That one was probably on me. Yeah, I think things happened to that pistol inside the holster, because previous to that, like right before we ran that final stage, we had the final breacher stage 9, I guess it was. Essentially an obstacle course. At one point you end up jumping, turned out to be about chest deep in this like peat bog, like creek thing going through, and I did my best to wash that holster out. Finally, later that night in the showers, I actually washed more of it out, and a bunch of like peat moss and stuff was coming out of it. And I think some of that stuff probably got in the pistol and just kind of jammed it up a little bit in that last stage. As far as rifles go, probably had the coolest looking one out there. I borrowed Yari's AK. Thing's really cool. One, there's actually a bunch of upgrades to it, which is really nice. And then on top of that, it probably the coolest looking gun out there. Thing is all done up, essentially Boba Fett, like Mandalorian theme. Really cool gun. And on there was, I want to say it was an Aimpoint Pro, maybe. For me personally, I would have liked to get a little bit lower mount just because of that height over bore, but it worked. And then there's actually a really cool suppressor on there. Not sure who made it. It was a little K-can, actually sounded really good. And that gun shot incredibly smooth. How did it do for me? It probably did pretty good had I done my part. What do I mean by that? I actually, bad on me. When we had an opportunity to zero, it was basically an opportunity to like zero on steel. So I'm like, I'm pretty good. I feel like it's definitely shooting off to the right some, but I'll compensate a little bit. I should be fine because most of my shots at whatever range I was at were hitting like a smaller piece of steel at, I don't know, like 50 yards or something like that. Bad on me. I really should have printed that thing on paper and actually zeroed it and actually shot a group just to see what the ammo was doing. 7.62 by 39. I didn't, and there was some frustration at times. In one, not the best shooter, but I also wasn't confident in a zero. And once you're confident in a zero, then done, it's zeroed, you are the problem, which I'm sure I was the problem, but not having a good zero, part of the problem too. Overall thoughts on kind of all this gear, how it did for me. Honestly, it did pretty good. Like, I was really pleased with most everything. And keep in mind, in part, why I'm doing what I'm doing. One, I really enjoy going shooting competitions. Yes, I try. Not there to win. Like, I don't have that expectation. My expectation is just to do the thing. Also, part of the reason I go do it is to just try different stuff for ultimately reviews on said stuff. And I'll end up doing reviews on probably all of this stuff. If I would have changed anything, as I already mentioned, I would have been like, hey, I need to go zero this on paper, probably at 50 and at 100 yards, just to actually know what that gun is doing. I didn't, bad on me. But yeah, I mean, generally it's the Indian, not the arrow, so you get what you get. Overall, it was an awesome time out there, and yeah, I had a blast, man. But there'll be links to all of this stuff down below if you want to check it out. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadge.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.